Seriously, hon.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, God. She's got her nose right under. I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna smash her.
Yep.
She will be flattened, kitty.
Kitty pancake.
Kitty pancake.
That'd solve the dinner problem.
That's so wrong. You're all like cut off. It's just me.
It's better that way for everybody.
Hey guys. Oh wow, we are almost 15 minutes late. Sorry guys. Not an Ishmi. Oh gosh. Are they have decided that they are not to be seen.
Over here.
They're over by Dane.
Do you guys want to be on camera?
They're like, no. No, we don't.
They're very perturbed by the new floor mat.
Oh, is the new floor mat freaking them out?
Oh, baby.
She's like...
She doesn't like being held, but this is Digit.
Hi, Digit. Can you see why? Oh, no. She's like, it's all wrong and terrible.
Gotta help her down before she jumps off.
Sweetie. Baby. There you go, girl.
Jack is back there.
Attack.
He might be going into his bed.
That'd be great if they're going into the bed. No, he's just gonna smell it.
So how's things with everybody? I see that Etiquette has gotten some clam chowder, which is great. Clam chowder sounds great.
It sounds amazing. I want some clam chowder.
I haven't seen clams in a store here that I'd be willing to eat.
Like, we could just buy cans of clam chowder.
Gentle Fans. That's pretty good. I usually use Minions, but Gentle Fans works good.
Yawn.
Susie Homemaker on crack. Why with the K?
What is happening?
Is it not real clams? It feels like a crime in the Pacific Northwest not to make clam chowder with clams. Thanks for hosting us, Joe Swanson.
Thank you. That does seem like a crime.
Dude, outward coast people. That's what I was saying. Like, you can't have fake clams in coast if you're anywhere near the coast.
Where does one even get fake clams?
I
That
don't
seems
even
like
know.
a crime.
I guess canned clams, maybe?
Oh, they're not fake though. They're just canned.
Yeah, they just kind of taste fake. Fake clams is just diced rubber bands.
I mean, that would
delicious.
be a cheaper option.
That would be.
Are you both in there? He's in the tube.
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 The tube has been moved out of use. Nobody can see the tube.
That's probably why he's in it.
Probably.
He is a cat. He's just gonna hang out in there now.
That's good for him. It's where he prefers to be. Not on camera.
Right.
Yes. If you're not eating fresh
Oh my
clams,
God.
you're risking botulism, for
Well,
one.
frozen isn't bad.
Well,
Dean has issues with canned clams.
I do.
And by issues, I mean,
Dan grew up on an ocean.
but like, frozen isn't bad. Like, you can get breaded, like, clams that are frozen. That's what a lot of the seafood places use, and they're not terrible. They're fine. Because, you know, they're breaded and fried, so you can get away with a lot.
Those are fine.
The music is very intense.
It's very intense.
I feel like we're fighting the music. I don't feel nearly that intense right now. I love fried clams, man. I haven't had them in a while.
Since last time I went to the coast.
But like a lot of... I've had them since then, I feel like. Maybe? I don't know. I had to go to Red Lobster with Dad and Sue at one point.
Oh, that's true.
I don't know.
So yeah, you probably got the captain's dinner, which means you got clams. Jack,
Jack.
you have a scratcher right there. Oh, okay.
There's the cat being terrible.
He got caught scratching, so he had to climb up into the chair to cover for it.
Ooh, clam fritter. Oh, but they weren't good? Oh, well, I'm sorry. Dane made clam chowder when we dug clams, and it was... Where'd she go? I don't know. You should find her. Is she in the tube? What? Aw, poor baby. Come here.
Jack makes very cute little trilling noises when he's alone.
Don't use my... Just come on up. He's like, but I just wanted to use your leg. No, you're a terrible cat. No, he's like...
See, also, cat.
Come here. He's like, I want to play. You, come up here. Come here. Kitty. He's like, but I want to play. And you just put away the yarn. Not cool. Oh, he's gonna do that thing
Hey,
again.
Vlask.
Hey, Vlask. So
The band's all here.
I wish that y'all could see it. We need to find a way to do a kitty cam. Dane has a... What do you call that thing? I don't even know what that thing is.
Oh, my cardio glide thing?
Yeah.
Throw machine?
That we got from the neighbor. That does not have a base, but he keeps climbing on it like it has a base, so he's like balancing on little pipes. Just because. Just, yeah.
No baby daddy?
What? Jack, are you kidding me?
That's going to end badly for you. There we go. He was debating whether or not he wanted to jump up onto the printer. From the very small ledge that's on the handlebars of my rowing machine. Turned out he didn't.
Don't do that. Jack.
Welcome to 2 hours of Ashley yelling at Jack.
Jack had a nap.
We really shouldn't allow him to do that right before the show.
We really shouldn't. Oh, but Digit came back, so he can fight with Digit.
All right, fair enough. Can't wait for the sequel to Ashley yells at Jack. It'll be Ashley yelling at Digit.
Oh, now they're leaving. Except he saw a doorknob and he might have to fight it. Jack's very distractible.
He is.
That's why his name is Jack.
Is that why his name is Jack?
Jack. He's the agent of chaos. Too loud, too furious. Oh, gosh. Yeah. They've already ripped one of the branches off of the plant that Make the World Awesome gave us. I don't know what it's called, but it's the succulent.
Yeah, that was...
That I haven't managed to kill yet. It keeps flowering, which is pretty great. And it's done better since we put it up on the bricks so it gets more sun.
Yeah.
But one of them managed to rip a whole entire limb off of it, so I'm going to try to get roots from it. Got it in a glass of water.
See how that goes.
That was today.
Yeah. Well, last night was the first night we'd allowed them out into the main house.
The hell was I thinking? What?
Maybe he's talking about... The hell were you thinking?
Oh, I see. From reading your old work? Yeah. Just replant it. It'll do fine. We're trying, so we'll see how it goes. Oh, yeah. Also, Etika, I didn't want to say anything before this, but 2 of the air plants that you sent were still a little bit green, even though everything else was like moldy and like dying and dead. So I pulled those 2 little stalks out and I got rid of all the dead leaves off them and I put them next to a thing with water. And they itty bitty bitty leaves. So we're hoping that maybe it's not too cold, maybe that I managed to make 2 of them survive. Yeah. So, now it'll be my fault that those 2 are dead. Like, not the post office's fault, because I managed to resurrect them slightly. I mean, we'll see. Like, they really want to eat that plant. Make the world awesome. It might be the cat's fault.
DHL's fault. Oh, that's where it was. Okay.
Yeah, it's their fault. What's funny is when one of the artist forums that I'm on, they were talking about how DHL was the only one that they could get to deliver anything in a timely manner.
Well,
And I think it depends on where you live, because somebody else is like, DHL has had one of my packages for a month now. But UPS came really fast, and like it. Your cats ate all 50 air plants. Well, the air plants are up high now on one of the counters that we're trying to train them not to touch.
In the
We have
kitchen.
spray bottles, so
50 air plants. God.
that was a full cat. That was like a whole day's work. Yeah, I know. I mean, they've done pretty well. Like Jack, you have to spray repeatedly because Jack is.
He's special.
Yeah, he is. So far, they've been better. You had to get a Nerf dart gun. Knox like being shot with the squirt gun. They both hate it. They hate it real bad. And like Digit hates the noise. So even if I miss her completely, she's like, fuck, because she just hates the noise and she gets upset and leaves. Twinkles would fetch some brand.
Do it again. Yay, thank you, Dragon Compass.
Thanks, Dragon Compass. Yeah, like, well, Velasquez, I don't know. Like, maybe DHL is doing better where you're at. Like I said, it seems like it's even within the U.S., it's a matter of like where you are. Your aunt was does she live in your town, Oscar Wolf? Because other than that, I wouldn't be surprised either. Edikay's box took I don't even know how long, and that was
months.
before like most of the bullshit with the post office had happened.
No, I think it was right during, actually. Yeah, it was like 3 months.
You're not a crazy person. Because you had a bunch of air plants, I didn't consider you crazy for that.
We were mostly impressed by the cat eating 50 of them. Like, that's a fairly impressive amount of, plants.
So many plants. Alright. I'm gonna
Try it again.
Yep. Jack left the room, so Digit's still in here somewhere. She's probably directly under me. So if this chair collapses, oh, there she is. She's like, I gotta go see what Jack is up to. Which is fair.
I don't know what's happening in front of the White House right now, Velasquez.
What?
It has admittedly been a couple hours since I've checked.
Are we protesting? Oh, well, like yesterday.
The white supremacists were out.
Right, and the Proud Boys and the MAGA people were out protesting, like, in favor of Trump. So that's a thing. And then they tore down at the White House, they tore down all the Black Lives Matters things that were up on all the walls.
Did they? Oh,
Yeah.
That's fun.
So Black Lives Matters and Antifa might be out putting that stuff back up. Yeah, they were having themselves a good time, tearing it all down.
The Million Moron March, yeah, which has like 13,000 people in
It
it.
didn't though. Like people on the ground, park people were saying it was between 5,000 and 6,000. So it didn't even have 13. Yeah, they were like, oh, there's like 1 million people, but then like parks people and police were like, we think it's like 5,000 to 6,000 people total. They've had lots of big groups, so they know how to count that shit. Yeah.
Should have waited to name it.
I'm
got a little premature there, y'all.
They could have just called it like a bunch of folks who's pissed off. And then we'd have been like, yeah, that's fair. That works. There's a bunch of you. That fits. That's how I feel about a million moms. Yeah, they were bad. Well, and I don't think they realize, like, I think a lot of people don't realize that, like, DC is actually a city. Like, people live there. Like, people have their homes there. They go to, like, they have to go grocery shopping there. They just live there. So I think some of these people, I feel like I was hearing stories that some of these people were running around and they were seeing people that weren't part of their group, and they just decided they were Antifa. And it's like, dude, they live there. Like, you're in their neighborhood. Like, yeah, I don't know. Somebody, like, I'm now following a new person on Twitter because someone else I follow kept reposting their stuff, and they went in and they were wandering around, like, kind of undercover, taking photos. Velasco, why would you do that to yourself?
Fun.
I don't read his stuff.
You have an interesting version of fun, Velasco.
Like, I see it because other people tell me what he tweeted. That's...
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, like, but then they were like, okay, I found the... And they pay attention and know about a lot of these different white supremacist groups. So they're like, and here's the Patriot Prayer that's responsible for stealing the Freedom Elk from Portland, and here's the elk, and then, oh, here, this group, these are actual Nazis. Notice the shaved head, like, and, oh, over here, these, like, so we're getting a tour of, like, white supremacy in America, which was kind of interesting. I didn't know there were so many flavors of awful.
They all taste like mayonnaise.
Don't you like mayonnaise? Like,
Off mayonnaise.
oh, off mayonnaise, yeah.
Off mayonnaise and egg whites.
Would like to see, Arnie Minion would like to see a crowd from the White House chanting no more years. Like, just get a group together that's loud enough to be heard. And just every night, like, do the countdown. Spend like 10 minutes just chanting how many more days. Oh, Lord. What was, Velasco, was he, like, specifically terrible, or was it just more of the same bullshit? Because I've been basically off the news since Friday. Like, I haven't been paying, like, I paid a little bit of attention yesterday. Like I said, with our white supremacy tour, but DC is super blue. And even beyond DC being super blue, like, DC really doesn't like Trump. Like, they really, really, really don't want him in their town. We must, quote, we must protest the radical leftist movement, Antifa. Oh yeah, he can't be convinced that Antifa is in a group. There's not a membership list. Like, it's not that. It's a, what, ideology? Like,
should be the default state for anybody.
oh no, Etiquette. Etiquette was having bedroom anxiety because a person she follows who was there was gone for an hour, comes back and says, sorry for the silence, some shit just happened, I must be cold because my hands are shaking. Yeah, like, I stopped paying attention when, like, there were groups of people that were just getting really badly harassed and the police were letting it happen. like, everybody was like, oh, don't protest, just leave them alone and let them yell in the wind and stuff. But then they went out and started looking for people to fuck with. So, like, if Antifa hadn't shown up, a bunch of, like I said, neighborhoods would have been, really badly messed with.
Welcome back. You came back just in time, Glassdan.
Fiddles, that sounds great. I might go and steal some chips later. Bring us a bag of chips.
Okay.
Okay. Because health food.
Right. They do need Oscar Rolls chainmail.
You have chainmail, Oscar Wolf?
So,
Hi. I'm over here just crocheting, and all of a sudden my yarn won't come. Oh, there's a cat with the yarn in her mouth. Mm-hmm.
that was a digit.
It was a digit this time.
Digit.
Hi, girl.
I don't know how to convince you that Canada's fine.
Canada Stebbins. That sounds like a meal. Like, that sounds like...
That's not even a thing. Canada Stabbin sounds like a 90s indie rocker.
Poutine with jalapenos on it.
Like Coyote Summer and Canada Stabbins.
Featuring Canada Stebbins in the brand new hit.
This guy on the internet said. Well, now we're getting existential.
Oh no.
Canadian YouTuber keeps talking about how he's afraid of getting stabbed with a needle by a homeless person.
What? Is he living in the US?
Fair question.
I mean, no, I'm like, I knew a couple of Canadian friends of mine always got freaked out by homeless people in the US. Which is where the question came from. He's probably white entitled and a douchebag. I mean, y'all do have those. Like, I'm sure. A few of them. We didn't keep them all, right? Who is... Kitty.
Yep.
And she's leaving.
She's like, shit, I'm on camera. No.
That's a very specific fear, though.
It's a very specific fear.
Being stabbed by a needle.
By a homeless person.
Right, but not just like stabbed, but like stabbed by a specific, like...
With a needle by a homeless person.
Right.
Your soup is sour. Like...
Hold on.
How does your soup get sour? Is it supposed to be sour?
Wait, didn't you have the seafood?
No, Attica had seafood.
Okay. What kind of soup?
No, it's not supposed to be sour.
What kind of soup did you get? Alright, hold on. So, the Canadian guy was from Quebec. So he's bringing up how French everyone is.
That sounds right. From what I know about Quebec.
from what you've heard.
Yeah. Which
Okay.
admittedly isn't a lot beyond Letterkenny. Quebecers.
We got some friends in Vancouver that had some opinions. And not Vancouver, Washington.
You made stock in the whole thing 2 nights ago and it's already sour? That's not good.
Weird. What kind of...
Is your fridge still working?
I am with you, Oscar Wolf. Like, Dane and I actually... It amazes me how often we get told that we're going to be in dangerous places. Because a lot of times when you go do shows, like, convention centers are downtown, and downtowns are like... People are very concerned. We've not had a problem.
You're for sure right.
Like...
You better go out and catch it.
Like, okay, there was the dude in Denver that just appeared out of the dark alley.
Oh, yeah.
It was dark, and we're walking by, and all of a sudden this dude, who was very hairy and very just strange,
He might have been a Sasquatch.
he might have been, but he just appeared out of this dark alley and was like, hey, can I show you something? And we're like, no, thank you.
You want to see something cool?
I feel like he was very... But, like, he didn't chase us down and stab us or
He
anything,
just wanted us to follow him into the alleyway to see something cool.
which we did not want to do. We have some friends that I have a feeling would have been like, yes! And then have gone, and we'd have been like, no!
Jenny 100% would have gone in there. Jenny Breeden, she would have been like, yes, I want to see something
Like, this will
cool.
be a great story. I was like, if you live! No, I was thinking, Jason.
Yes.
Jason would have been like, well, sure.
SideQuest.
Oh, gosh.
We're only complete as nerds when we're not risking our actual lives.
Right. Like, if it's just my character's totally going to go into that alley to see something cool. Me, I was like, nah, I'm good. But no, like, for the most part, like, we've been all over. We've had people help us figure stuff out and get directions. And, like, the first night we landed in Atlanta, and you can take, if you're staying downtown, like, you can take the metro straight from the airport to within a few blocks where most of the hotels are that are part of DragonCon. But we got there, it was like 10:30 at night. I don't know, it was pretty late. And multiple people, like, because there were a couple of people in the metro stop at the airport, and they helped us figure out, like, which way we needed to go. Because, you know, there's always that period when you show up and you're trying to figure out somebody's metro system, and you're like, okay, we gotta figure out, do they have, like, a weird name for each direction, or do they do it by the last station, or the next, like, you have to figure that bullshit out to just kind of, and they're like, okay, you're gonna go here, and now this is how you buy the thing, and you want to put, like, whatever. And he talked us through it, and then we got to where we were going, and the guy was like, no, you don't want to go out that side, you want to go out this side, because that's gonna shorten your walk, like, like, everybody was very helpful. Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe we've been lucky, but for the most part, people are people.
People are people.
Like, for the most part, if we're polite to people, they're polite to us. Like, and if they're not, they're probably douchey white dudes.
It's true, though.
I don't know. But we've been told repeatedly that downtown Atlanta is horrifying and terrifying, and you should never be there after dark. And maybe during, like, we're like, we've never had a problem.
And we got lost walking to the grocery store the whole time.
We've been lost a lot.
In Atlanta.
Right, like... What? Okay, posture check. Yes. What, Velasque?
I mean, I'm still back on the Galathian almost getting stabbed for a copy of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Americans created special toilet seats for Arabs with hidden meal.
I mean, I promise I never did that, Eddie K. Like, so Velasque, when I was a kid, and I was born in 1980, so
1 million years ago.
we were just starting to figure out AIDS when I was in like the end of elementary school, like a little bit. My 6th grade year, our 6th grade teacher told us, as part of sex education, she told all of us girls, because she had the girls and the other teacher had all the boys. She told us that if you have sex and you're not married, you will get AIDS. Like, it was just one with the other. And then I went home and asked my mom, who's a nurse, and she was like, she's like, don't go have sex, but also that's not how that works. like don't test it, but no. But the needle thing is kind of, how old were you? And they were like, yeah, like Americans have special toilet seats with needle, because that's a very
just for Arabs.
Well, and first of all, how do they get you to go into just that? Because do they just change them out real quick? Like, that's...
She's like, oh, you gotta take a crap. Wait just a second. Hang on.
Like, and also, that's a very specific threat. Like, I gotta say, most Americans are not that... We don't...
We're not that put together.
We're not gonna think through that all the way through. Like... You think that was a post 9/11 urban legend? You're like 12. Okay, so you were at least in middle school before they tried to scare you, with American toilets. I mean,
you should be afraid of American public toilets. Just full stop. Because a lot of them are horrifying, but not because of that.
Dana has germ issues. And if you don't have them, if you don't start with them, American public toilets, especially bad, like...
They'll give them to you.
They can give them to you, but... Galazdian, I feel like you and Make the World Awesome could come up with an entire, like, multi-volume story if you just, like, wandered around Portland together.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Because I feel like Make the World Awesome has the same ability. So the two of you could just really double that power. You don't want to. Like, I don't know. Like, we've had people ask us for money and stuff. Like, that's fair, but like...
There for a while when we lived in Arizona, every time we went outside of the house, somebody was asking us for money.
We had to put up signs in Arizona. Like, I don't want you knocking on my door. There was a point in Arizona where people would just come knock on your door and ask you for money. Like, they would go down every door in an apartment complex. And that upset me a lot. Oh no, Barb, are you having more internet trouble? Like, we finally, like, I put up a thing because I found out that I don't know if it's Phoenix specific, like in Tempe specific, or if it's Arizona specific, but I found out that there was a local law that if there's a sign that specifically says that you can't, no soliciting, and you knock on the door to solicit, then it's illegal and you can get arrested for that. So I put up a sign, and then the very next dude that did it, I was like, the sign, and there's a law, and then he started speaking to me in Spanish as if he didn't read English, even though he'd been speaking perfectly fine in English before that. And I was like, clever, but no. Close the door. And then the next day at work, I got my coworker who spoke Spanish to help me. So it was in English and Spanish.
No, we just got booted out of chat. We didn't boot you, I promise. Maybe Eddie K booted you. Eddie K, are you booting people?
Don't boob. Barb.
Don't boob. No boob.
Don't
do no boob.
boot Barb. Oh, that was not gonna work out for me. You had a guy asking you for crank? That's yeah. Like I think it's funny to me when people will be like, "Hey, do you have a cigarette?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Do you have a lighter?" And I'm like, "No, I just told you I don't smoke." Like what? Like, I've never been asked for crank though. That's I don't know. Like it was just
I don't think I've ever been asked specifically.
that period of time. And I don't know if it was just that neighborhood or if it was just like a new thing that people were trying out. And then the police started like doing something. Like I have no idea, but it was just like our first maybe 2 years of living there. You get sometimes we'd have multiple knocks on the door in an evening. Like it got to a point where you really did worry about it. Because some of the people who would knock on your door were fucked up.
I mean, if a Schwann's person walked up and knocked on my door, I'd probably open it. No pooping boobily in the chat.
When you interviewed for Schwann's, they said they tell their salespeople to knock unless it's a beware of dog sign. I mean, like, if you take a no for an answer, like, it was annoying, but, you know, fine. But a lot of people weren't actually selling me something. They were trying to get me to just give them money.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Hey, Jack.
hi, buddy. He jumps like a fox.
He does.
It's really cute. You're so grateful for your large dog. I mean, no one ever, like a few people got weird, but no one ever got, like no one tried to break in or anything. I was just like, dude, I don't have money.
Like, if I had money, I wouldn't be living in these apartments.
I mean, they were nice enough, but yeah. Gotta pay for that. I'll pay for that. Oh, Lord. Like, once I put up the one that was in English and Spanish, that seemed to take care of it. Like, completely. Because, again, there was a law, and the police were starting to, like, crack down a little bit. I don't know. I never called the police.
No.
I threatened to a couple times, but I never did. The dude was like, I'm just gonna knock again. I don't know. It was only in Arizona, though. I've never had that, like, problem elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. You scared away the tamale lady? Oh, no.
Oh, no, that would be awful.
We need tamale ladies here.
Man, we do. Like, there's people putting up tamales in Facebook, but you gotta catch them.
Yeah.
Just right. And it's so annoying.
It's hard because, like, yeah, I don't go on Facebook very much anymore, so I miss them.
But, man, if they would just come to my door.
Yeah.
That'd be great. The Salvadoran tamales are the best, though. They were Salvadoran?
Yep. A couple of ripped up brochures. Some torn up brochures, a chalk outline on the stoop.
We're here to answer if we can. We'll ask: is it expensive to get a car in America? It depends.
Can be.
If
you know what you're looking for, or if you're lucky, you can get one for super cheap, but then you probably can't drive it.
So it depends on how much you know about cars, because the cheaper it is, the more likely it is to not work well or to have problems. But the other big expense is where you store it. So the school you're looking at, you need to find out what their parking costs and how that works.
I'll let you know.
Because, like here, you can find a lot of places to park that don't really cost anything. You just have to worry about, like, where you leave it. But, like, in a lot of big cities, the parking can be extensive, like, pretty expensive.
Yeah.
And some university towns, it can be really bad. Right, exactly. Like we have places here that maybe aren't quite as stupid as London, but are pretty close. I mean, I think
New York's pretty bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it'd be really dumb to get a car in New York. The other thing you can do is that there's a lot of places that'll rent cars as long as you're over 21 and you have a credit card. And there's a lot of Lyft and Uber and stuff like that. So
they may be evil, but they're useful.
Right, like there's a lot of places, especially university towns and bigger cities, where the car isn't necessarily as useful. But yeah, I would definitely check and see like what it costs to park the car at the university you're looking at before I got the car. Like back in the day when we were when I went to ASU, Arizona State University, the parking was getting a parking pass was ridiculous, and they sold more parking passes than they actually had parking spots, which I think should be illegal, but apparently it wasn't. And it turned out the parking passes were so expensive that it was actually cheaper for me to get like up to 8 parking tickets in the place that I finally just ended up parking each semester. And I only ever got like, I think the most I got was one semester I got 3.
Yeah.
So it was cheaper to just do that. Like, is it useful to get a car in California? It depends on what part of California.
I would say it's more useful in California than a lot of places because...
Yeah, but like there's like, we know multiple people in like if you're in San Diego, I wouldn't get a car.
No.
Like San Diego has great public transportation. So it's California's a huge state. And so it really depends on the city you're looking at. Do it, Etta K. Uh-oh, that's illegal. I'm inciting violence. Just virtual ones, though, not real ones.
Virtual kneecaps.
Yeah, like... So California is actually, like, it's bigger than, I don't know, a lot of countries. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Jim.
We're discussing whether it's useful to get a car. And I said it depends on where you're going to be in the United States. Like, even in California, like, different cities are better or worse with public transpo.
Basically, if you end up in a small town, you're probably going to want one.
Right.
Like baby daddy. Okay, I see. I was wondering who you were talking about, baby daddy.
What? Now I'm getting salty. You're not losing the sound, you just keep getting the message, welcome to Monkey Minion chat, over and over and over.
Weird. Does the chat keep resetting?
We just want you to feel welcome, Barb.
Yeah.
Do you feel welcome yet?
Welcome.
Do we have a car? We have a car. So here's the thing, a lot of people in the US that live in smaller areas actually, like, they'll have a car. If you have 2 adults, especially 2 adults that work outside the home, they'll each have a car. Dane and I have shared a car for the entirety of our marriage.
100 years.
Even when we both worked outside of the home. So...
I spent a lot of time on the bus.
But now we work from home. So, like, we don't... And we have for a long time. So we don't have... Like, we don't put that many miles on the car. Like, the car is 16 or 17 years old. And it's got, like, 160,000 miles. So, yeah. Sounds like you have an opportunity, Wolask. You could buy a car for Make the World Awesome.
Stop off in Kansas, grab a car, head out to California.
Oh, gosh. Yay! I mean, I'm sorry your soup went bad, but I'm glad you're getting dinner. Like, but like Barb lives in a really small town. So like that makes it more useful in the United States because our public transpo, especially when you get outside the cities, is not great.
Yeah.
In most places. So, and like Dane and I here, like we don't leave the house very often, but if you want to go grocery shopping or something, like
you need a car.
we're a couple of miles away from a grocery store. Right. Like Jim has a 25-mile wait each way. Like Dane used to actually take the bus in Portland across, like diagonally across the city. So he had like a couple of hours of commute every day. Yeah.
Don't recommend. Not fun.
So like, but if you're gonna live on or near campus, like you can, in a lot of larger cities, especially university towns, you can choose to live near places with public transportation options. It just really depends on the city. Yeah, and that's insane. No offense, Wildcon. Like I couldn't. Like that'd be so much. That'd be too much.
I mean, that's not that much more than what I was doing when I lived in Portland.
It's a little bit more, but at least you were able to sit and like read or listen
I wasn't
to.
driving.
You weren't actually driving.
Well, if I'd been driving, it would have been long.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like, so Barb's got. Like Barb doesn't have a lot of transportation options where she is, so you really need a car. Like but like I said, if you were gonna go to school in San Diego, California, like San Diego has great public transportation. You would just want to make sure that anywhere you were living, if you weren't living on campus, you would want to make sure that you were living near like a bus stop or near a trolley stop would be better because the trolleys are great. But like it's got a lot of options. If you were going to school in like Kansas City, Missouri, like unless you were really careful, like you'd probably want a car because the public transportation there are options there, but unless you're really careful to make sure that you live close enough to something, you could get into trouble pretty easily. Well, and etiquette, like some of it too, like there's a difference between miles and time too. Like when I lived in Portland, I worked when I lived in Portland, I worked out almost to Hillsboro. Like it was halfway between, I don't know. My morning commute wasn't bad. It was like 20 minutes, 25. But my afternoon commute was like 45 minutes to an hour. But Dane, like, that's because I had the car. Like, so Dane would get up and do the bus.
Yep.
Because the way that Portland used to have better public transportation, but we looked at it and the way that the public transportation was, he and I were going to have like the same length of bus ride, but his car ride would have been the same basically as his bus ride, like if he'd taken the car, but my car ride was half or even less if I took the car versus 3 times the length of time on a bus.
However, if there's inclement weather, public transportation can suck.
Everything sucked that one day. Everything was terrible that day. Snowpocalypse was terrible.
I got stuck on a bus for 9 hours trying to make it across Portland.
I was in a car for 6, 5.5, something like that, to get home.
Time for a Baba Yaga house.
I got real close. Like, super, super close to a problem. Like, I went to the bathroom before I left, but I still got real close
It would
to
have
a
been
problem.
the 2008 snowpocalypse? No, 2010. It was the second snowpocalypse.
It was later than that, because I was at the thing. So,
Yeah, we were up on the hill.
it might have been 2010.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Kurt Russell was not available.
We got, like, so in a lot of places it wouldn't have been that big a deal. But Portland does really poorly with snow. Like, they literally do not have salt. They just don't have it. They don't buy it. They don't use it. We got 6 inches of snow in 4 hours. And it's like 4 or 5 hours. And it started at like 10:30, 11 in the morning. So everybody was at work already. And then it started to dump and people started to freak out. And so like everywhere in Portland shut down at like 3. And sent all of their people home at 3. So we're in Portland, rush hour is pretty bad anyway, just because they haven't made the roads big enough for the increase in population. At least usually you have like the people that get off at 3 and the people that get off at 4 and the people that get off at 5 and like every single person was sent home at 3.
Like my one of my coworkers dropped me off downtown.
And it still took him that long. He should have just walked.
I should have.
A lot of people just walked. My problem was that the main road, Beaverton Hillsdale Highway, that I took to get like my second, like half of my commute was that a bus had slid and was blocking all but 1 lane of a 4-lane road. So yeah, that was great because, and then cars kept getting stuck because they had to stop and then try to get across it. Nobody knows how to drive in the fucking snow, so cars kept getting stuck. So people had to keep getting out and pushing the car out of the 1 lane. I don't know why they didn't just push the bus out of the way, but they didn't.
Because it's a bus?
But yeah. And then I was super mad because the frickin' mayor at the time got on the thing and was like, this is just because people don't know how to drive in it and they won't use snow chains or whatever. And I was like, no, it was your fucking bus, buddy. Like, I was so mad. But yeah, but then by the next day, the snow was pretty much, like, it was gone. Is this why mommy drank?
What?
Oscar Wolf, I wanted to. I tried to just stay at, because I was in a fire department. Like, I was at we had a fire department there, and then we also had, like, the offices and stuff. And I literally worked in the supply department. So I was like, let me just stay here until most people get off the road. I'll just hang out, drink some coffee, whatever. Like, it'll be fine. And they were like, no, everybody needs to leave now. It's going to be terrible. Well, yeah, you're going to make it terrible.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one, Attica. This was the last snowpocalypse we were there for when we walked up to the grocery store.
Yeah, that was fun. That was the last year we were in, was it? No, the year before last. The second to last year we were in Portland, there was so much snow, and a bunch of businesses ended up closing down because, like, all of January, nobody in Portland left their house.
Yeah, I think that was that one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty good place to shelter, Oscar Wolf.
That would have been great. I'd have just been at the fire department, but again,
I would have been at my office, which had no food.
plenty of free coffee. Yeah. You were walking distance to the beefsteak place.
Yeah, they probably would have been closed at that point
Yeah.
because they would have gone home.
Yeah. If you'd have planned on sheltering in place, you just drive down and get a couple of sandwiches.
They would have
Walked down and get a couple sandwiches.
because I didn't have a car.
I bet they'd feel bad for you, and then they'd drive you back on their
Oh,
way
wow.
to leave. It'd be great.
Like, they liked me, but I don't know if they liked me that much.
I bet they would have at that point. Portland people are pretty cool.
That's true.
Well, that's what, Jim, that's the thing. Like, it's silly, but yeah, like Portland, if they get more than 2 inches of snow, they shut down.
True facts.
And this was worse because, like, nobody expected it, and then it just started to come down in wet sheets and stack up really fast.
Yeah, literally all the weather people were like, yeah, we're going to get some flurries, but nothing's going to stick.
And then all of a sudden it just kept piling up. Had they said, like, we're going to get a shit ton of snow, you guys should stay home, most of the people would have stayed home.
I'll be right back.
And so instead of taking, like 5 hours for me to get home, like, and I'm not even kidding, it took me 5 hours. Like, and again, my long commute before that was like 45 minutes to an hour if there was a wreck. Had most people stayed home, like, my commute would have probably been like 2 hours maybe. It is, Jim. Like, Portland just doesn't, like, they get a lot of flurries, actually. I didn't realize that until I started being nocturnal and working from home. So, like, Portland gets a lot of flurries, like, right around the time, right before sunrise, and like, the first hour of sunrise. But it doesn't stick most of the time. So so when they do get snow, like, everything just stops. The entire town just shuts down. They just don't know what to do with it. And none of them know how to drive in it. And there's a lot of hills, which makes it much, much worse. So they all just stay home. Or, like, worse, like, if they're already out, the other thing that makes it worse is if they're already out, they will, when it hits about 2 inches, they just stop their car. Like, wherever they are, they just stop the car, and they get out of the car, and they walk home. So, like, not only are you avoiding all the other drivers, but you're avoiding all the other abandoned vehicles. And I've never seen anything like that. Like, it's very strange and very much like what they do. I mean, Glasden, I've seen snow everywhere I've lived, including Arizona. But in Arizona, we only got flurries that one time. And I'm pretty convinced, if you're going to move forward, do it now. He was thinking about coming to smell it. Oh, no. Now he left.
Okay.
And I'm convinced that we only got the flurries because our heater wasn't working. So, like, it didn't snow. They were right. Like, mostly in Phoenix, it doesn't snow. Although it did, but it was just flurries. It didn't pack. Like, it didn't.
It got cold at one time.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, it got cold enough at one point, like, some of the hydrants were leaking and freezing onto the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I remember riding my bike past that.
It snows out of
spring. It was down in the valley. It snowed in Scottsdale and on Camelback.
Yeah,
and then it got cold everywhere else.
Jim, we saw flurries in Tempe.
Yeah.
But it didn't collect in Tempe. We just saw flurries. But when at the time, we were paying close attention because at the time, the place we lived, the heat had stopped working. And we were feeling pretty shitty about it, like angry. Because they kept trying to say, well, you don't really need heat. It's not like it's AC. And we're like, it's fucking cold.
Like, motherfucker, it snowed.
Like, yeah. So I was like, it literally snowed. Legally, you have to give me heat or get me in a place with heat. Give me my damn heat. Yeah. That was a bad week and a half, 2 weeks. I don't know.
Obi wasn't enjoying it.
Mm-mm. It was real bad. That was the place we broke the lease.
Yeah, they were bad.
Between that and the mold.
Yeah, when we first moved to Portland, I had a coworker who had lived in Omaha, and she kept telling me how it's great in Portland. It never snows. The weather's always great. And then literally that winter was the first snowpocalypse they'd had in like 10 years.
That was the one.
We got like 2 feet of snow.
Yeah, we got a foot and everything shut down. And then we had like a day of decent weather just so you could get like the first inch or two to melt. So then that night when it froze again, we had a nice sheet of ice. And then on everything, including the surfaces that people had shoveled. And then we got another foot of snow on top of it. It was great.
So like every time it snowed after that, I'd look at her and be like, doesn't snow in Portland, huh? She's like, it never snows here. You brought it with you.
And we're like, we came from Arizona. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Glassine, I feel like it snows more here, but like it definitely made more of a difference in Portland.
Well, here, if the weatherman even goes, it's cold out, and there's some precipitation in the air, they have like a fleet of trucks just running 24/7 until the weather passes.
Salt makes a difference. I know it's terrible for the environment, but it really does make a difference. Like, what was it? That winter,
Of our discontent?
not the last winter we were there, the year before, like it got so bad that Seattle sent down salt trucks to Portland because they're like, you have all of our shit.
Yeah, I think that was 2016.
The highway, like you have to clean up your town so all of our trucks can get up to us. You have all of our shit.
Like we're hungry and you have all of our food.
Like a friend of ours that runs a comic shop up in Federal Way was putting up the thing. She's like, guys, none of their like all
Portland has stolen all of our comics.
Like there's no comics this week because the truck can't get up here. Wow. 24 inches of snow.
I don't like that.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's fine for me now. I don't leave the house.
He was so...
Night.
Make the world awesome. We miss you too. Hey, yeah, I meant to answer you and I forgot, so I will try to answer you.
She answered you. I was wondering why we never got together.
I forgot to answer. So, if you don't wake up to an answer, yell at me tomorrow, please. I'm very scatterbrained. We totally talked about it.
We did.
And then I just...
I thought they were ignoring you.
No, I'm the bad one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's me. Yeah, that's too much snow at once. Like, at least in Portland, it had the decency to snow, like, to do it on 2 different days.
Right.
I'm trying to think of the most snow I ever got as a kid. I think, like, over a course of several days in Missouri one time we got, like, 1.5 feet, 2 feet. But again, it was over a series of days.
We had some pretty bad snowstorms when I lived in Nebraska.
Yeah, Nebraska's further north than Missouri is.
Yes.
They get more snow.
Yes. Or they used to. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah.
You know, weather change and...
I don't know. I know when we first moved to Portland and we had the snowpocalypse, as long as I could walk up the hill, I could go get coffee at the Starbucks because the manager at that time, the store manager, was from like one of the Dakotas. Dane, you want to allow? And so, and he was like, I just get up early before all the other crazy people get out. And it's like, none of this is a problem. This isn't even close to the too much snow. Like, it's not, I'll just stay here all day. He's like, it might take me longer if I'm the only one that can get here, but it's not a problem.
Thank you, Oscar Wolf, for fixing that.
They have problems with Gresham? Weird.
Ontario's. They have a problem with... for whatever reason.
Because they were too close or something? I don't
Maybe.
know. Some of the stuff the mod catches makes me think that there are people out there trying to be very sneaky with their hate language.
It's possible. Yeah, probably.
I'm falling 3 times and I'm angry. We had ice one year when I was in college and in Missouri, and I'd driven over to try to pay my rent, and they hadn't salted the parking lot, and I didn't have a problem. The parking lot angled down toward the building, so I didn't even think about it. I didn't have a problem getting down to the building to drop off my rent check. But then I was trying to walk back up to my car, and I kept, like, I'd get a few steps, and then I'd slide back. And then I'd get a few steps, and I'd slide. That was freaking frustrating. And I highly recommend, if you've got ice, the tennis shoes that they sell for working in a fast food restaurant with the anti-slip. It's made so, like, with all the grease on the floor, you won't fall on your ass. That shit works, and it works on ice too. Like, it's not perfect. I wouldn't run across it, but it definitely works.
Also, Yak Tracks. Yeah.
What are Yak Tracks?
They're those things that the mail lady used to have on her shoes for snow and ice.
Oh yeah, like the snow tires for your shoes.
Yeah.
Or the chains.
Yeah.
Shoe chains.
Shoe chains.
Yep, those dips will kill you.
If they can, they'll try.
Your friend is in the U.S. and he's telling you horror stories about how people drive on the highway. I mean, I don't know what the stories are, but probably.
Depends on where you're from.
So that's
Dallas
the thing
is
too.
terrifying.
Like, every part of the problem of Alaska is that every place you go has particular, like, the drivers behave in a particular way that's bad. And then some big cities have people from a lot of places, so you don't know which flavor of bad you're gonna get. But yeah, definitely he's in Kent County. Where is that?
Ohio?
Is that Ohio? What state?
Kentucky?
I don't. There's probably multiple Kent counties.
Probably. Kent's a pretty common name.
I was gonna say, like, that seems like a thing that you'd find in multiple states. I'm gonna check this just because I'm curious.
Michigan?
Is that the only one?
Looks like.
Michigan's the only one that came up. Maryland. Oh.
Uh-oh, snap.
So, Glacian, that's because you live in Portland. So it is safer to, like, everyone thinks it's safer to walk, which is why there's abandoned cars every time there's snow. Delaware has a Kent County too.
Just everywhere.
So does Rhode Island.
They're everywhere. It's a proliferation of Kents.
Apparently there's a Washington, Kent County in Washington too. And in Texas.
The 2001 A Space Odyssey, but instead of full of SARS, it's full of Kents. Only Kent you care about is Clark.
Fair enough. Velasque, I would say that, yeah, like, mostly there's terrible driving, but it depends on where you are for what kind of terrible you're going to get. But that's probably the case everywhere, right? Kent State, is that in Kent County? Probably. In Texas?
Kent
Probably.
State is in Ohio.
Oh.
You know how I know that?
How?
Buffalo, Springfield. Oh wait, no, it's Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
Well, there you go. So, there's a lot of Kent counties.
I'm Kent County.
So like, just what Dan and I have noticed, California, it's bad just because, like, there's a lot of people and rush hour is a thing. Like, if you're in LA, rush hour is from, like, is like 24 hours long, as far as I can tell. We've been stuck in traffic at 9 p.m. in LA, and I don't know why. But, like, anytime I ask anybody that's from LA, they just laugh at me. They're like, yeah, traffic is always bad. But, like, okay, in Dallas, it was speeding. And it was, like, aggressive, but mostly just speeding. And we found out, because they didn't mark the speed limit anywhere that we could find. Eventually, they did. We found one behind a tree, a speed limit sign. We were going 20 over the speed limit, and we were still being passed and honked at for going too slowly. Yeah. So Dallas is very much like, speed limits don't matter. Shut the fuck up and put your foot down on the speed limit, or on the speedometer pedal, that thing, the gas, and get moving. We have places to be. LA is just bad, and it makes it worse because there's a bunch of people with motorcycles and scooters, and they just go through the lines of traffic. And I feel like the traffic lanes are a little bit narrower than in other places. It freaks me right the fuck out. I don't like it. Plus, like, semis just, like, catch on fire, and you could be stuck on a highway somewhere.
That specifically happened to us
That did happen.
in California.
Like, that's a true life story that happened to us. Yeah. So, like, you want water in your car. Like, in Denver, the bad driving is that, like, in Denver, Colorado, the bad driving is that people just get tired of the laws and the rules and just decide they're done now. So, like, you'll be at a stoplight, and you'll be waiting for your light to turn green, and then all of a sudden somebody across the way just starts going, and you look up, it's still red. There's still cars coming the other way. They don't fucking care. They're done waiting. They're gonna go now.
Arizona's that way too.
Yeah, like, it's very... They're done. Like, they followed the rules up to a point, and now it's their turn, and they don't give a fuck that it isn't actually their turn. So that's a very, like, Denver, Arizona thing. In some East Coast cities, there's, like, everything is just very, just tight. Just because all the lanes are really narrow, and there's just so many people, and it's just very tight. Here, it's just, like, I think that a lot of the people that I see are used to there being no one on the roads. So they do terrifying things that you would only do on an empty road, but they forgot to look around and see that the road wasn't empty. Like, drive backwards the wrong way down the road. Or, like, I've seen that.
Or decide to cut across 3 lanes of traffic to turn left.
I've seen that, too.
I have many times seen that.
Right. Like, from the rightmost lane on a highway. Like, just... Or stop on a highway. Not pull over. Just stop.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about traveling as much as we do is that I don't usually have to drive in the towns that we visit. So they're pretty great. What about St. Petersburg?
Her really close to the beach was like 2 hours, wasn't it, Eddie? I'm just guessing. Like, distances are also a thing. People here are like, oh yeah, we're going to drive like 3 hours to get somewhere. And I'm like, are you going to spend the night? They're like, nah. I'm like, kitten sighting.
Oh, yeah. Digit.
Digit. scratch you? Nope.
Nope.
She's gonna sit just out of reach. Oh my god, and then she looked at you insulted because you didn't pet her.
No.
Even though she was completely out of reach. That's what she does.
Yes.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Like, probably what your friend was saying was true. But it's very, very different. Like, different areas of the country have very different bad driving. I think that's what's part of what's so fun about the U.S. is that we're so big that we can have, like, we don't just have different areas with different weather. We have different, like, driving behavior and different, just everything's. Uh-oh. I've never been to Venice Beach, so that is cool. Do they have all the muscle people? Because that's what I know about Venice Beach. Left turns across 6 lanes of traffic were normal by the retired snowbirds.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. I mean, that's just... Like I said, when we're here, we see shit that just doesn't make any sense unless you just assume that the people are used to not having anyone else on the road.
Or they're drunk.
Well, that too.
3 hours one way is a solid day trip.
See, like, I can tell you... To me, if it's 3 hours one way, then I'm going that one way and I'm spending at least a night.
Yeah. When we lived in Portland, 20 minutes was a solid day trip. Like, if I had crossed the river, I was packing a lunch and making plans.
I mean, an hour, but yeah. But, like, here, we had, we wanted to go to Kansas City because they had the IKEA, which is 3 hours. And we had a friend that was like, yeah, totally, we can go and drive down to IKEA and come back. It's no big deal. Because he had a truck.
Yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, that's cool.
Meanwhile, if we'd been going alone, we'd have been like, well, okay, so we'll stop off in Lawrence and spend the night there. And...
Or we'll go spend a night in Kansas City, and do we know anyone in Kansas City? What are you doing, buddy? He, like, just fell over, which is great. Hey, Jack, what's up? You want to come up here? He's like, no, but if there's something I can destroy, that'd be great. Don't chew on the thing. Jack. Jack. Come here. Nope. I'm so sorry that they couldn't see that. He did the thing where she came running through the tube and he did the up on hind legs and like wave his arms in the air.
No.
Alright guys, I'm moving this so everybody else can see you guys being cute. Is it visible now?
Yeah.
Both ends?
One end. If I do visible, then they're... There you go.
Okay. Now they're being like just calm. Just lay back like, oh, yeah, we weren't doing anything.
Yeah, when you get used to bus times, driving times don't make any sense.
I think also though, like, if you can get lucky enough to get a bus trip where people kind of leave you alone, it's different too. Like, I think it's easy to forget that being able to ride and not drive leaves you in a different state of mind. I'd come back from driving just fried. As long as Dane hadn't had anything crazy happen on the bus, he was ready to like go on to the next thing by then because he'd had an hour of reading a book or listening to music or sketching in his notebook. It just kind of
Watching the crazy old man give a bus tour like it was his job.
that would have been great. I really wish you'd been able to tape that.
Yeah, I didn't even have a smartphone at that point.
I know. You took a bus to Vancouver once? Top 3 biggest mistakes. Okay, what happened?
That's a story. Yeah, I've never done a long distance bus. Just, across town.
I've thought about it, but then, like, right around the time I was like, oh, that might be a thing to do, Greyhound was allowing ICE to just search their buses, and I was like, no.
19 hours. Oof. Try for me equates to how long I'm going to be there. That's fair.
Oh my gosh, Jem. My ratio is a little more like every hour of the drive needs to be multiplied. I don't like driving that much. I don't like riding that much. Took a train to Atlanta via DC. See, I like the train.
I do too.
And the train down, we took the train from DC.
From New York to DC.
From New York to DC, and that was pretty nice.
New York to Baltimore.
Yeah.
DC would have been, I think, easier, but Baltimore was closer to your sister's house.
Christina was flying in that day to the airport, so we were supposed to meet her. Huh?
We took her car to her house. We had to go pick her up.
Because she was late or something. I don't know. Her husband did a weird thing. I don't know what happened. Something changed. Barb, I like trains too. And the train, actually, like seriously, the train from New York to Baltimore was great.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't very long. It didn't take that long. The guy at the snack cart was great. I ended up talking to him and another guy for like a couple of hours. You had to drive by and see a bunch of scenery. The seats weren't that bad. However, my dad took us, my stepmom and my sister and I, we did a trip to Cincinnati, I think, from Kansas City. That seems right. That was a terrible trip. We changed trains in Chicago, and our train was late because we hit a car. Because they'd pulled up too far up into the train crossing, and we hit them. And my sister and I were very fascinated. We thought this was the best shit ever, because then we had to back up. They had to back the entire train up because we didn't just hit them and stop there.
Right, that wouldn't make any sense.
No, the train keeps going. Turns out in train versus car, car loses. Car loses bad. My sister and I thought it was a very small sports car, but someone corrected us and said that's just what's left. We were incredibly fascinated, but we were really sad because by the time we got back there, like, it didn't appear that anyone had died. We were just at that age where that would have been the coolest shit ever. Dude, when you're like, I don't know, 10 or 12 or 8, like the idea of seeing something bloody and gory is amazing when you're a kid because you're completely unattached. It's all right. He's gonna just give me weird looks the whole time.
Terrible.
But it looked like if they'd been hurt, the they'd been carried off long before we got to get back past it. But the car was very cool looking. Like, what was left of it was not, like... that wasn't even side-eye. I know, he thinks I'm... Yeah. See, Oscar Wolf, my dad is convinced. He is convinced that there is a train across Canada, and he wants us all to take the train across Canada.
He is.
And I can't, like, I tried to look it up, and it didn't look like there's actually one train across Canada. It looked like there's trains across various parts of Canada. And it looked really expensive to me. Like, I mean, I'm cool with it. Like, I don't know. If he wanted to pay for it, I'd take a train across, like, Canada with him. Like, it'd be pretty, but... Oscar Wolf says there's a train across Canada-ish, but it's super fucking expensive. So, make Dad pay for it if he wants to do it. Noted. At okay, our train was late. The one we took from New York to Baltimore was late, and they just kept not telling us anything. It was not like, and then they wouldn't tell us like where it was gonna be until the last minute. That was a little stressful.
Oh yeah, trying to catch the train at Penn Station.
Because Penn Station, it turns out there's a lot of places the train can be. But it was cool. Penn Station is really cool.
It is.
Like, in terms of if you've got to wait for something, like, that was pretty cool. I love that it just kind of looks like there's a sausage or hot dog that's just rolling around back behind us with a little leg that comes out periodically.
Crazy ass sausage. I mean, we live in Kansas, so middle of the country being boring as fuck is something that we're not unused to. Yes, the struggling clown. Specifically the struggling clown leg. Which now has a jackhead sticking out of it.
It's not so much. He's upside down. He's like laying on his back. It's like, hey, how's it going? Just one ear sticking out. See, Oscar Wolf, I was trying to convince him before COVID. I was trying to convince him that we should fly to Seattle and then take the train there up to Vancouver. Because my stepmom has family in Seattle. So we could fly to Seattle, all meet there. So if somebody's plane is a little bit late or whatever, like we could all meet there and spend a day or two there, and then go up to Vancouver, and then take the train over, and then take it back. Like, take the train over to, like, Alberta, maybe, and then take it back. But he wants, I think to him, Canada is Quebec. Like, I think that's what I'm understanding when I talk to him. Or Montreal or something, and I'm like, cool, but that's like, it's not sinking in, I think, that Canada is really big. Like, and also very expensive, like, comparatively. Like, if you've got it, like, Montreal is not the cheapest place to visit, and I know he's gonna be, like, bitchy about it. I would love to take the train through the Rockies in Canada. That would be...
Yeah, I'd like to not
That'd
be driving.
That'd be a hell of a trip. That'd be nice. It doesn't stop in Alberta anymore. Great.
Never buy cigarettes in Canada?
I mean, I don't buy cigarettes anywhere, so fine.
Sounds like a plan to me.
I mean, easy, done. Probably because American cigarettes are weak as shit. What? Are we talking about tobacco? I'm very confused. Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, this is gonna be. So I just sort of gave up because I was like, well, why don't we do? My dad was like, no, I want to take the train across, the one that goes all the way across. And I was like, Dad, that doesn't. Okay.
Maybe he means a freight train. Maybe he wants to hobo it.
Have you met my stepmom?
Just like get some patchwork clothes and a bindle. Riding the rails, king of the road style.
Well, and then he's like that makes sense because the scheduling thing, like the Oscar Wolfer, you said that the train always stops for the commercial traffic. That makes sense because the scheduling thing was like, here's the rough amount of time that you're gonna leave, and here's the like it was this whole. Like it was very like you've got to make a bunch of room in your schedule, and what happens happens.
See, we can just get like Etiquette will let us know what the marks are that we're looking for. Let's do that.
With my dad.
Yes.
Right.
Some cans of beans. Sounds like a good plan.
No.
Tell him it's an experience.
Oscar Wolf says it would make sense to take the train from Vancouver to Jasper and then fly to the east, and there's probably some train shit there.
Is there an airport in Jasper?
Or just fucking like rent a car and just drive. I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that with them.
No. No. No, no. No.
Like, it'd be fun if it wasn't.
Them?
Yeah.
Yes, I think we've driven through Jasper.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being an airfield or an airport, but didn't seem big enough for an airport. It was pretty though.
I mean, you can fly Southwest pretty cheaply, relatively to Portland, and rent a car in Portland and then just drive up and you're fine. Bring it back. It's fine.
I don't even know if they still do that. The Beaverton Toyota.
Oh, we'd have to ask, but there's other places you can rent cars. They might be pissy about taking it across and over the country, though. That's.
What they don't know won't hurt them. I actually have a question.
What? I don't think so. I think. You already mentioned. I think that what happened was, my great aunt was really into trains, and she and my other great aunt took the train down to Mexico. At some point, they did a lot of train rides. So probably in the 60s, you could take a train across Canada, probably. And I know that there's a really famous concert series with Janis Joplin and some other people where they took the whole concert went on the train across. So it's probably just was in the zeitgeist at some point, and he's still convinced it works that way. There's there's a lot of stuff. Like he'll talk about he'd like to go see the churches in Europe. And I'm like, which churches? Because there's a lot of them. And it's like there's a list that we're all expected to know, but like...
He means Notre Dame.
He means more than that. Like there's other... But like... Ooh, that'd be fun. Take the ferry or the Victoria Clipper from Seattle. That could be fun.
It could be fun.
See, like there's lots of fun stuff to do, but...
Remember that one time we got him on the water taxi in Vancouver?
That was great.
Yeah, they didn't enjoy that.
My dad loved it.
Well, Sue
My
didn't enjoy
stepmom
that.
was like, I'm not going to do it. We're like, cool, then you can take an Uber or whatever. And then
We'll
she
meet
got
you
on
there.
because she didn't want to be left out, but then she bitched about it the whole time. And Dane was just like...
Oh, it was so fun. I fucking love water taxi. I would ride the water taxi everywhere.
It would be great. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, Etiquette. Like, it all costs money. And, like, again, he has this, like, he's like, he means a specific thing, but he hasn't really looked it up, and he didn't keep the list. If there was a list going around in, like, the 60s that everybody meant, like, so we don't necessarily, like, and, like, they're very bad at, like, they want everything planned for them, and they want it all to be precise and exact.
But they don't want to hire a travel agent.
Well, they don't want to spend the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like, and they want it to also be very much like the US, which is not going to happen anywhere else. Especially in Europe. But, like, we met them when my sister got married in Vegas. We met them a couple of days early, and I found the hotel. And they weren't going to stay in the hotel that I found because it was right on the strip. And they weren't going to stay there because they were just going to stay in this other hotel that my sister's like entire wedding party was going to stay in. That was in a whole other town. And I was like, cool. So we're going to stay on the like on the old strip. We found this hotel that's cheap because it's in a casino and there's all this stuff around to do that's walking distance. And we're going to do that. And you guys can like Uber over or whatever. Well, they ended up staying in that hotel, but they weren't going to do that at first because they weren't going to move hotels. And I was like, cool, then you guys can figure it out.
We got there early.
Yeah, we got there a couple days early. And so then they ended up staying in and they're like, okay, so what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, there's restaurants here and restaurants there. What, like, they wanted an itinerary. But then they didn't want to tell me anything that they wanted to do. I was just supposed to guess. And they're like, well, but what do you think we would like? And I'm like, I'm not from Vegas. Like, I'm not a travel agent. I'm not from Vegas.
Like, here's what we're going to do. Feel free to buy a ticket.
Like, you can come with if you want. Oh, Oscar Wolf, by the way, says if there's anything in Jasper, it would be an airfield.
Only an airfield. It's just Jasper Airfield and nothing else. Maybe some sheep. Or an elk. An elk that runs the airfield, actually, probably.
I mean, etiquette, like, that's the thing, but Dane and I travel, like, we have a vague idea of what we want to do, and then we show up and we make plans accordingly, right? So, like, we're a little more freewheeling, I guess. Like, and if you know, like, if you set up a plan, like, it sounds like if you were gonna, like, actually try to take a train across most of Canada, it'd be several trains, and you can't depend, like, on a given day or time because there's traffic that could happen and things that could come up. And so you have to plan everything and schedule everything to be very flexible. Well, that's not a thing my dad is very good at while traveling.
Or in general.
Apparently Jasper is on Crown Land because it's a national park.
Oh. Neat.
Glasny. Oh, etiquette can't be trusted not to Google stuff. I mean, my dad will insist on getting, like, the AAA guidebook, and then he won't read it or open it. And then he'll keep trying to make me carry it. I'm like, I'm not taking your stupid guidebook. Like, if you want your guidebook, go for it. I have Google. And also, like, you can find all the AAA stuff on the AAA website on my phone. And he'll be like, well, here's a book. And I'm like, I'm not taking the book. I know that you don't want to carry it around because it's heavy. I also don't want to. And I have Google. What do you want to do? And he'll be like, well, there's stuff in this book. And I'm like, yeah, so you should open it and read. Lovely. Parents are lovely. So yeah, the last time we just planned stuff we wanted to do. And they got to choose whether or not they'd come. And then anytime they were coming, we had to, like, get an Uber or a Lyft because they don't walk anywhere.
To be fair, the walk to the Neon Museum would have been a walk. It would have been a hike.
Yeah, we'd have been fine with it, but it would have been a hike. But the Mob Museum was half mile.
That's true.
As a parent, you say parents are awesome. All right. I love that idea, etiquette. Like, I don't know. I'm just... I think that there are different kinds of parents. Let's put it that way. And if you... The conversation we've had to have a couple of times, and Dad doesn't like this conversation, is that if it's a vacation, we're all paying for our own trip, then they need to do their own planning. If I'm expected or Dane's expected, if we're expected to be travel guides and on hand for everything to figure everything out for them, then they need to pay for my trip. Which is maybe mean, but... Like, it was, the Vegas thing was fine, because my sister was getting married, and we were all going there for that, and they left afterward, and then Dane and I did a couple of days after at a different hotel, but yeah, if we were going to spend a whole week taking them around, yay, hydrate, Dane. Then I'm a tour guide and I'm not on vacation. See, etiquette, I used to try to plan that way, and then I would get really depressed that I was missing things. And then I would start to feel like I was wasting my vacation and I wouldn't enjoy it. So, like, my way is, like, what Dane and I do is we look up a bunch of stuff that we think would be interesting. No! I promise we're not doing it, Barb. So yeah, then, like, Dane and I just look up a bunch of stuff that we think is cool or interesting. And then sometimes people tell us about stuff, or we get there and we find out, like, something's closed or whatever, and we just, but we have priorities. We'll be like, here's the 20 things I want to do, but this one thing I definitely want to get done. But Dane and I also enjoy, like, we'll spend a day and just walk around a city, like, or a part of a city that we think looks cool, and just wander around. And if we see a coffee shop that looks interesting, we'll just go in and buy coffee. If we see a park, we're just like, I wonder what this park's about, and we'll wander through the park, like. And that's the kind of shit that drives my dad insane. He can't understand that. That's how we got our Converse last time.
Yeah.
We saw a place and we're like, let's go in there and see what's in there. $5 Converse. Let's buy some Converse. And cities are fun that way because, like, there's all kinds of, like, random plaques and shit. And Dana and I will just wander around and, like, read plaques and take pictures. And I mean, that sounds completely fun and doable, Galazdian. I would recommend... Okay, Galazdian. I don't know how you feel about a lot of food. And I don't know if there's going to be this thing afterward. But when we were in Vegas, one of the things we did after my sister's wedding was we got the buffet of buffet passes. And what it was, what's the company?
Caesars.
Yeah, so like all of the casinos and like everything on the Strip and in Vegas basically is, but specifically on the Strip is like one of 3 big companies. And Caesars puts out a pass that you can get that's a 24-hour pass, and it's you can go to any of their buffets within those 24 hours, like when you have the pass. And except one of them is a super fancy buffet, and then you were supposed to pay another like $25. And it was like $40 on top of the thing. Yeah, so what we did, and the passes were supposed to be like $150 a piece, which is a lot. But if you sign up for like a Caesars membership, then it was like $125 a piece. And the membership doesn't cost anything. We saw a hydrate that you redeemed, but we're happy to do another one.
I'm out of hot drink.
Haha.
I used all my drink on the last hydrate.
It's hot still.
How was it good?
I mean, ish. It's hotter than usual. You got me a refill. Like, it's still black, but...
Speaking of mall food courts, this is another thing you could do.
No, but let
Oh,
me
you
finish
should
this one, and then
okay.
you do them all. Okay, so then, like...
Now that you're done.
Right, so, but you get the 24 hours. So then it was like $125 a person, right? Which is still a lot, but it's 24 hours of food. And you can go as many times as you want within that 24 hours. Like
And it's Vegas, so they're open 24 hours.
No, they're not.
Some of them are.
No. None of them are... Some of them are open pretty late. Some of them are open early.
Pretty close.
So the one in the Flamingo was only open for breakfast and brunch,
Yeah.
but they had booze. They had all you can drink mimosas
Yeah, it was cool.
as part of it. So like you can set it up if you're careful with your 24 hours. You can like because it starts from the moment you cash in that first trip. Hydrate, Oscar. Oh my god. So then we stayed at the Flamingo and I looked at all the because sometimes when you look at the sale things with the Flamingo, she's like, you had your chance. Sometimes when you look at all the like deals or whatever, there is actually a good deal in there. And the Flamingo had a thing going where if you stayed for at least 2 nights, you could get, I forget what they called it. They didn't call it the buffet pass, but you could basically get 2 buffet passes as part of the thing, like added on. And the difference, it ended up only costing us like $75 a person. Instead of just ordering, like getting the rooms. So yeah, we paid like half price for the thing.
It's pretty great.
And the buffets are really expensive, but like the one in Paris, I forget what the buffet is called, but it's the buffet in the Paris, is it the Paris Hotel? Is that what they call it?
Paris Casino.
The Paris Casino, I don't know. It looks really, really cool, by the way. Yeah. And the food is so good. It's actually really high quality, like our version of French food, but it was all really, 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 really good. We ate there for breakfast and dinner. We had 2 different buffet, and that one alone is like $60 a person.
Yeah.
So if you use that twice and you can get the buffet thing pretty cheap, like you've already well over made your thing back. And you could, if you wanted, just go like, oh, I could use a snack, and you could go redeem it and just have like dessert and drinks, and then leave, and then come back later, like if you wanted.
Yep.
You could literally just, if there's a line, you either have to make a reservation and get there for the reservation, or you have to wait through the line. Like that's the only different thing. But you can go as many times as you want within that 24 hours. Highly recommend it. Like the flamingo, we sat next to the windows and we watched the flamingos and we drank mimosas. The food was fine, but the mimosas were great. And
Like the food was basically breakfast. It was a breakfast buffet.
yeah, it was fine. But we got to sit there and watch all the flamingos outside and the ducks and drink mimosas, and Dane was super happy.
They had a really neat aviary area
Because
outside.
it's the flamingo, so they gotta have flamingos. Right. So, food court, Dane.
So food court. So if you're going to do this whole stay in a hotel and just go to places you can walk to, I'd recommend Chinatown, Flushing, Queens. Because they're within walking distance. Not only are there amazing restaurants, there are 2 different food courts in the basements of office buildings
That we found.
that we found.
There probably were more.
And in the food courts, they're full of just Asian food stalls of whatever the fuck kind you want. Amazing.
And it's really close to a subway stop.
It's really close to a subway stop.
There's a couple of them right there. So you can get anywhere you want. Highly recommend. Okay, what did we miss?
I don't know. Something like
Yeah.
that.
So Dane and I are all about the food. We do definitely choose travel based on food.
We totally do.
But like you can't go to Vegas and not like that felt like the most American tourist in Vegas thing to do is to get the buffet pass and eat as many buffets in 24 hours as we could do.
Between that and the Thanksgiving buffet we did with your was it the Golden Nugget?
Yeah, it was at the Golden Nugget, I think.
That was pretty good.
That was great. That one, they were pretty impressed with us. I was like, all right, I won that one.
All right.
We were...
On that note.
I actually really liked Vegas.
Me too.
It
I
was
want to go back.
fun. That
Someday
was...
when there's no COVID.
Right. We didn't gamble, though, so...
Why not?
Like, we wandered around and looked. Was it the Golden Nugget that had all the, like, old antique stuff?
No, that was the Stagecoach.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. It was neat.
I can win them all. You know how you win? You don't gamble.
Exactly. You just go to the buffet.
And you wander around and look at stuff and take pictures of their lights.
Yes. Hey, perfect timing.
What?
My battery's low, so
I don't know.
it's 10 o'clock.
But, like, Vegas was great because, like, you can find deals. We went off season.
We did.
I don't know why you would go during the summer. That seems awful.
Because that's when everybody else has vacation time.
Yeah, but it's Vegas. It's hot there. I wouldn't do that.
Fair enough.
Thanksgiving was great.
Thanksgiving was great.
I want to go back.
Me too. Hopefully next year.
I want to not have COVID.
Hopefully next year this will all be somewhat under control.
Yeah, go get some breakfast.
Breakfast sounds good.
If you ever travel, you're hitting us up for info. Like, we will try to help. We have a very specific way of looking at things, though. So, warning.
But we can help. We like to travel.
If you don't care about food, like, we're probably not the people to talk to. We spend our money in very specific ways.
Right. Food and shoes, apparently. Want to go to New York?
They were $5 Converse. I'm offended that you're like, shoes. Like, I don't buy $5 Converse, guys. $5 Hello Kitty Converse.
They're pretty great.
Okay. She likes hot. Ooh.
During summer for Vegas.
That's when all the tourists are there. You don't want to be there during
That's true.
that.
Nobody wants to be there.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Tourists are terrible.
Night, everybody. We're currently planning to be back tomorrow.
Doing something.
Something.
We'll
see. So, yeah, we'll see you all tomorrow-ish. Have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We're going to go get some food.
No.
Also, that noise.
Right.
Who is traveling? We
Me
should
too.
travel.
Yep. All right.
Guys,
Night.
let's all dream of traveling.
Yes. That.
Bye.
Bye.